We're good to go. Welcome to the Flight Community Sync, August 9th, 2022. My name is Martin Stein. I'm with Union AI and I'm your host today. Few housekeeping notes as always. We're going to record the session and we're going to share it on social media later. And if you haven't joined, obviously when you see this social media later, if you want to join and want to be in the live session, go to flight.org and join the Slack channel. There's also at events, so you can see the full program. We're going to talk about this at the end of the session one more time. But next to our agenda, Haley, thanks. So today we have I would say a full session, easily 1 hour. Going to have some community updates. I hope that's not going to be longer than 10 minutes. It could be a little bit longer. And then we go into demos and presentations. Moving to ARM on Flight by Robert. He's going to talk about that topic. It shouldn't be too long of a presentation or talk. I think it's probably 5, 7, 8 minutes, Robert, something like this is what I would expect. And then we go into model monitoring with WiLox and Flight. Murilo, so you're going to talk about the latest integration. Super excited to see this, what WiLabs has done. And then we're going to take ZipRecruiter's Flight Path with Seth. That's going to be a very interesting piece because we're going to learn what it takes, what decisions it takes, and what pain it takes to get from one decision to really discover about that, well, we don't have a solution, we need a solution, and Flight could be one of those solutions. Okay, next. Community updates. Let's kick it off today with our contributors. Let's go to the next slide. And I have 2 contributors that I want today to introduce themselves. First, we start with Evan Sadler. So Evan, if you could unmute yourself, if you could introduce yourself and give the people a little bit of brief background and why, what your work is with regards to Flight, your contribution. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Evan. I am a data scientist at HBO Max, where I build, predictive models, and I'm helping modernize the ML infrastructure. We use Spark a lot, and one things we use are we use Spark ML pipelines. And so the contribution I made was to add a custom flight type for Spark pipelines. Why is this useful? It means that when you run your Spark job, it could be a pre-processing job, or you could be training a model. Then you can return it from the flight task, and then pipe it into a prediction task or whatever you want. So it really makes the using Spark ML really a smooth process.
That's fantastic. Love it. I'm a big fan of Spark ML and Spark ML pipelines. So I look forward to testing this out. Fantastic. And Calvin, you have you're with Embark. So same thing, unmute yourself and introduce yourself and give people a little bit of a background of what you have been working on. I think it has been the Papermill plugin, but I will let you talk about it.
Sure. Hey everyone, this is Calvin from Embark. We're a direct-to-consumer dog DNA testing company that also does a lot of research on veterinary medicine. We use Flight we're shifting to Flight for our production data processing pipelines that take that incoming data from direct-to-consumer DNA tests, as well as for our research pipelines. I've been doing some work on the Jupyter Notebook infrastructure. I started with adding a flight deck to the Papermill plugin so that when you have a Papermill task that runs a notebook, you can see the notebook in the GUI, which we were kind of doing in a hacky way outside of that anyway, with a separate task for a deck. But it makes it really easy for scientists to parallelize their notebook with a dynamic and then come back and look at the results in the GUI without having to go to S3 and muck about. And from here, we're going to hopefully be doing some more stuff with Jupyter Notebooks and science work to kind of make the life cycle easier.
Oh, fantastic. Love it. So that's a pretty cool thing too, and building the flight deck. So I want to test this out soon as well. So with that, I feel like the call to action here is for each and every contributor out there. Join us, and if you have a good contribution, reach out to us, or we will reach out to you and see it, and have you at one of the next open source 6. Okay, let's take a look at the next slides. That's all about the talks. There were quite a lot of talks in the last 4 weeks. I was a little bit surprised that we had so many, but I'm super happy about this. So first of all, we had Kathan talk about with the ML Ops community why Airflow is great, but you need an extension on the ML side. You need something that's built for ML. And Keithan broke down in this conversation the key drivers for what it takes to have ML specific orchestration tool, why we need that. So there's a link there. You can take a look at this. Very interesting. Our Niels Bantilan spoke with Alexi from the Data Talks Club. I think this was a fantastic recording as well. It's about UnionML and why you need a lightweight API and abstraction layer on top to really help data scientists, machine learning engineers with their tasks about building, deploying, and scaling their web native ML apps. I thought this was a really great contribution. So the link is here on YouTube. Check it out. Next. We had Niels as well. Niels, I just watched this twice, this video. I think it's really good from SciPy. And literally that part was a 30-minute talk about, production workloads and machine learning. Very, very important topic to bring this together. Very often we just talk about one or the other, but really the combined talk and the criteria, reliability being reproducible and recoverable and auditable. Those are really important criteria. So I would highly recommend watching this track, 30 minutes, really, really good track. And last but not least, Samita Allah has done a presentation for the KCD and GenAI. That's also on YouTube, and I felt like this was a really, really good overview from you, Samita, to basically see what it takes to productionize models in a Kubernetes native environment. So really fantastic. So those are really 4 great resources, highly recommend. Next. We had one more thing that I'm super proud of that we did this. This was a Twitter space conversation with Kelsey Hightower, ML in production. We had various flight users on the panel. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend watching it. And I think even Kelsey had an epiphany about infrastructure is one of the elements that has to be managed in an ML production environment together with data and ML. It's not just data and ML, it's also the infrastructure, and the trifecta here builds really great orchestrating tool, which Flight is. Cool. So let's look forward, upcoming talks. Keithan is doing a Ask Me Anything with the MLOps community on August 18th. There's a link on the website if you want to chime in. It's a live event, so you can ask Keithan any question you want to ask. So good luck, Keithan. And the next upcoming thing is the Ray Summit. So we will represent Flight at the Ray Summit in August 23rd, 24th in San Francisco. So there's kiosk number 7. You can see us there. And there's also going to be a little bit of a, obviously we wouldn't be there without having a Ray integration. There's going to be more to come about this. We're going to talk more about the Ray integration. But the Ray Summit is basically where we basically bring things together and hopefully get some uptake on the Ray integration. So distributed computing and orchestration together in one power package, super exciting.